The country is divided. Some say we're on the right track, others say we're way off. Some say the world isn't round, but things will change. There's hope on the horizon, because everything will be better when James Lantiegne becomes president. And now, here's President Lantiegne.
Hello, my name is James Lantiegne, and I am your president. Now, I know the opening intro said when I become president, but let's face it, given the options, I think I got a pretty good chance. And when I do become president, here are some of the things that I would like to enact into my presidential run, or what would you call that? My administration. So now the intent of this podcast is not to create anger. It's not to get people in an uproar and to get them all wound up. There's a little bit of, humor to this, but at the same token, there's some very basic common sense that I really think our government should take a look at. And I really think they should consider. In fact, we're going to be sending these episodes to our Congress people because, there's some things in here that they know, but they just need to get reminded of. And I think we need to start serving the majority of the people and start following what the will of the people is versus what their parties want or any of this other kind of stuff. So this is a 6-part episode. And today, we are going to actually start with getting rid of the political parties. Now, this is not something I thought up. And this is not a concept that is new. It actually started back with George Washington. And trust me, he is far smarter than I was, because to be able to create a constitution that is a living, breathing document that's still relevant very much today from back then, that's pretty darn amazing. So I'm going to do this in summary, but here is essentially what George Washington said about our political parties. So Washington recognizes that it's natural for people to organize and operate within groups such as political parties. So he identifies with that. But he also argues that every government has recognized political parties as an enemy and has sought to repress them because of their tendency to seek more power than other groups and to take revenge on political opponents. He feels that disagreements between political parties weaken the government. Now, if we look throughout history, there is evidence after evidence after evidence that the political parties do, in fact, weaken the government. It makes it basically unable to get anything done because there's so much infighting. Moreover, he makes the case that the alternate domination of one party over another and coinciding efforts to extract revenge upon their opponents have led to horrible atrocities, and it is itself a frightful despot. Oh my goodness, I can't say that word. Despotism? DESPOTISM.
I believe that's close enough.
Thank you. That's from the booth. It's official. But this leads at length to more formal and permanent, that same word. From Washington's perspective and judgment, political parties eventually and will gradually incline the minds of men to seek security in the absolute power of an individual. Boy, they use that word a lot. He acknowledges the fact that parties are sometimes beneficial in promoting liberty in monarchies, but he argues that political parties must be restrained in a popularity elected government because of their tendencies to distract the government from their duties, create unfounded jealousies among groups and regions, raise false alarms among the people, promote riots and insurrections, and provide foreign nations and interests to access the government where they can impose their will upon the country. Now, this comes from a man over 200 years ago. So the fact that he had the foresight and the insight to recognize what political parties can do to our system is absolutely amazing. And I honestly believe, and I think a lot of people believe, that you should be voting on the person, not the party they serve. And the person that is elected should be voting based on their constituents, not the party they serve. So right now, there's a line drawn in the sand, and one party can't cross over to the other because it would be, unforgivable. And so everybody is voting because that's what their party wants, not what their people want. So my first order of government would be to eliminate the political parties. And when we vote at our general elections, you would be voting based on the person and what they stand for, not the party. So with that, we are going to take some questions from the gallery, and let's see what they have for me.
We do have several questions here. Rhonda is asking, she mentions that today there's a lot of talk about tribalism and how tribalism is destroying the United States because everybody is only supporting their tribe. Do you think that Washington actually saw that far in advance?
I do. I think that look at the Constitution and the foresight that they had when they developed that document. We could really learn a lot from our forefathers. Now, did they get everything right? No. But they left a monarchy to form this great nation called the United States. And even in the beginning, they wanted to have George Washington as their king. And he said, well, hold on a minute. We just fought and lost lives in order to get away from a monarchy. And now you want to create another one. People always want to go to what's comfortable to them. And I think they had the foresight to know that, no, this is not the way things need to go. And we need to go in a different direction, and we need to lead the world by our example.
Okay, very good. And then Letitia is asking, she's concerned about how things were when Washington was president and how things are today, and how much have things changed. Is there a need for parties today that there wasn't back then?
Okay, this is going to get me a lot of hate mail, but I think there was a time and a place, almost kind of like unions. At the time, there was a time and a place. And now a lot of unions are all about power and collecting money and, getting wealthy. They've kind of lost their place in the way of, serving the people and protecting their people. It's more about the power. And I think political parties has become exactly that. It's exactly the way George Washington described it. It's about power. Why are we electing a group? Why are we not electing an individual that's going to represent the people that they were elected by? And why do we not want them to elect or vote based on what their constituents want and not what their party wants? So I don't think there's a place.
Okay. And then we also have a question from Stephen, who wants to know, what about lobbyists? What's going to happen to lobbyists if there's no parties to pitch them?
That's a very good question. And that's exactly what's going to happen to them. They're going to go with it. Again, parties are out for big interests. They're not. When we elect our government, we are electing them to serve the people, not the large interests, not the big corporations that can afford the lobbyists, not it's about the people, and we need to bring government back to the people.
Okay, very good. And finally, we have a question from Leo, and I think Leo's being kind of a smart aleck here. He says he's concerned because, as you know, Alice Cooper runs for president every 4 years along with the other ones, and he wants to make sure you're not going to eliminate Alice Cooper's party, which is the Wild Party.
Okay, well, Alex Cooper can run based on the fact that he's wild. He doesn't need a party behind him to indicate that that's how he's going to run the government.
I think everybody knows that about Alice, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
That's all our questions.
All right. So thank you for tuning in. And episode number 2 is going to be about government reform. Now, if getting rid of the political parties made you angry, then buckle up, cowboys, because this next one's going to be a ride.
Brought to you by Abracadabra, Hocus Pocus, Presto, Pick a card, any card. Some words are magic. They sparkle with the promise of something wonderful. But they're still just words until you add that something wonderful to the mix. And that's what you'll find at the White Rabbit Magic Shop in Santa Paula. Their inventory includes world-class tricks and illusions that are not only for sale, but that they will teach you to master. In addition, White Rabbit Magic Shop is world-renowned for its amazing collection of bicycle playing cards, with nearly 500 decks in stock. So, if you're serious about magic, then say it with us. At the White Rabbit Magic Shop, we believe in magic. The White Rabbit Magic Shop, located at 15500 Telegraph Road, Suite B15 in Santa Paula. For more information, please call 805-850-3051 or check us out online at wr-magic.com. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.